Deep in the jungles of Cambodia, hidden beneath tangled vines and centuries of silence, stands a temple so mysterious that even today, experts still argue about how it was built. Angkor Wat, the largest religious monument on Earth, was constructed with such precision that its stones fit together without mortar, yet no records exist to tell us exactly how ancient engineers pulled off this staggering feat. And this is just one of countless ancient wonders scattered across our planet, each whispering secrets we've yet to fully unravel. Why did these societies go to such incredible lengths to build monuments that defy explanation? What forgotten knowledge did they possess? From towering megaliths to sprawling underground cities, the past is littered with puzzles that challenge everything we think we know about human history. Imagine standing at the base of the Great Pyramid, its massive blocks perfectly aligned with the stars, or wandering through the labyrinthine passages of Petra, carved into rose-red cliffs by hands we'll never name. These aren't just ruins, they're time capsules, left behind by cultures who mastered engineering, astronomy, and artistry in ways that still leave us awestruck. Some were temples to gods we've forgotten. Others might have been ancient observatories or even gateways to realms beyond our understanding. But one thing ties them all together. Their creators deliberately encoded mysteries into stone, ensuring their legacies would outlast empires, languages, and even memory itself. Today, we're embarking on a journey to uncover 25 of the most enigmatic monuments ever built, structures that defy logic, spark endless debate, and remind us how much of our past remains shrouded in shadow. You'll witness places where the walls seem to whisper, where the very ground hums with unanswered questions. Some of these sites are famous, like Stonehenge, its purpose debated for generations. Others are hidden gems, known only to a handful of explorers brave enough to seek them out. But all of them share one irresistible quality: they dare us to look closer, to question, to wonder. So let's step into the unknown together, because the deeper we dig, the stranger and more thrilling the story becomes. Rising from the misty Salisbury Plain like a ghostly circle of giants, Stonehenge has baffled scholars and visitors for centuries. Its towering sarsen stones, some weighing over 25 tons, were dragged from quarries nearly 20 miles away, an astonishing feat for a society without wheels or metal tools. Even more incredible, the smaller bluestones came from over 150 miles away in Wales, their journey a mystery wrapped in speculation. Some believe they were carried by glaciers, while others insist ancient builders transported them across land and sea, defying logic with sheer determination. But the real magic happens when the sun rises on the summer solstice. The healed stone casts a long shadow directly into the heart of the circle, proving this wasn't just a random pile of rocks, it was a precision-engineered celestial calendar. The entire structure aligns with the movements of the sun and moon, suggesting its creators had an advanced understanding of astronomy. Was it a temple for sun worship? A burial ground for elite leaders, or perhaps a healing site where the bluestones were believed to hold mystical properties? The theories are as endless as the debates. What's undeniable is the scale of human effort behind it. Picture thousands of people laboring for generations, moving these colossal stones with ropes, sledges, and raw manpower. The circular ditch surrounding the site, called the henge, was dug with tools made from antlers and animal bones. Every detail whispers of a culture that valued this place enough to pour centuries of work into its creation, only to leave behind no written records of why. Even today, as modern technology peels back layers of its past, Stonehenge refuses to surrender all its secrets. Archaeologists still uncover new clues, like the recent discovery of hidden pits that may have held towering wooden posts long before the stones arrived. Perhaps that's the true power of this place. It's not just about what we know, but what we don't. Standing in its shadow, you can't help but feel the weight of those unanswered questions. The quiet insistence that history isn't as simple as textbooks suggest. And that's the thrill of Stonehenge. It isn't a relic frozen in time, but an ongoing conversation between the past and present, daring us to keep digging. While Stonehenge stands as a riddle wrapped in earth and sky, halfway across the world rises a monument so precise it seems to defy the very limits of human capability, the Great Pyramid of Giza. Built over 4,500 years ago, this colossal structure consists of 2,300,000 stone blocks, each weighing between 2 and 15 tons. Yet what's truly staggering isn't just the scale, but the mind-bending accuracy with which it was constructed. The pyramid's base is leveled to within just 2 centimeters, an engineering marvel even by today's standards, achieved without modern lasers or levels. Its 4 sides align almost perfectly with the cardinal directions, off by less than a fraction of a degree. How did ancient builders achieve such perfection? The answer remains as elusive as ever, but the mysteries don't stop at its geometry. The Great Pyramid acts as a frozen snapshot of celestial knowledge. Its airflow shafts point directly to significant stars like Sirius and Orion's belt, suggesting the builders encoded astronomical wisdom into stone. Some researchers believe the entire Giza complex mirrors the constellation Orion, with the pyramids forming a celestial map meant to guide pharaohs to the afterlife. Others argue it was a powerful energy generator, pointing to the strange acoustic properties found in its chambers, where sound frequencies resonate in ways that still aren't fully understood. Then there's the enigma of construction. Theories range from massive ramps spiraling around the pyramid to lost technologies involving water or even anti-gravity. Recent discoveries of hidden voids deep within the structure, detected by cosmic ray imaging, hint at chambers still untouched for millennia. Could these hold answers or deepen the questions? The symbolic weight is just as profound. Unlike later pyramids, the Great Pyramid lacks elaborate hieroglyphs or traditional burial artifacts, leading some to speculate it served a higher purpose beyond just a tomb. Its mathematical precision even encodes the dimensions of the Earth, with the pyramid's height and perimeter ratio matching the planet's radius and circumference. Standing before it, you can't help but feel the silent challenge it poses across the centuries. Here is a monument that refuses to fit neatly into our understanding of history, whispering of knowledge we might never fully recover. Every new scan, every fresh theory only peels back another layer of the mystery, because the Great Pyramid isn't just a relic of the past, it's a conversation with the infinite. On a remote speck of land in the Pacific, where the ocean stretches endlessly in every direction, stand the silent giants of Easter Island, the Moai. These towering stone figures, some weighing up to 80 tons, were carved from volcanic rock by the Rapa Nui people centuries ago, their solemn faces gazing inland as if guarding secrets lost to time. How did a society with no metal tools or wheels move these colossal statues across miles of rugged terrain? The question has haunted explorers and archaeologists for generations, sparking theories as wild as the island's windswept landscape. The process began at Raraku, a quarried volcano where nearly half of the Moai still sit unfinished, embedded in the rock like fossils. Using nothing but basalt stone tools, artisans painstakingly carved the figures from the mountainside, chiseling out their elongated noses, deep-set eyes, and angular jaws with astonishing precision. But the real mystery begins once they were freed from the quarry. Some believe the statues were walked upright by teams of rope pullers, rocking them forward in a swaying motion that left telltale marks on the island's roads. Others argue they were dragged on wooden sledges or log rollers, a theory supported by the discovery of ancient Polynesian sledges elsewhere in the Pacific. Yet the Moai's journey didn't end there. Many were topped with red stone crowns called pukao, mined from a separate quarry miles away, another logistical puzzle. The societal cost of this obsession with stone giants may have been catastrophic. As the Rapa Nui poured resources into carving and transporting hundreds of statues, deforestation ravaged the island. Without trees to anchor the soil or build fishing canoes, famine and conflict followed. By the time European explorers arrived in the 18th century, the once thriving civilization had collapsed, leaving behind a landscape littered with fallen moai, some mid-transport, as if frozen in the act of walking. What drove such devotion to these statues? Most moai face inward, watching over villages rather than the sea, suggesting they were guardians of ancestral spirits. Their placement on ceremonial platforms called ahu hints at a sacred connection to the land and its people, but the deeper truth may never be fully known. The island's oral history speaks of a powerful elite who commanded the statue's creation, a ruling class whose demands may have pushed society to the brink. Today, the moai stand as both monuments and warning, silent witnesses to the price of ambition and the fragile balance between human ingenuity and nature's limits. Their empty eyes seem to ask, what are we building and what might we lose in the process? Buried beneath the dusty hills of southeastern Turkey lies a discovery so profound it shatters everything we thought we knew about human civilization. Göbekli Tepe, a sprawling temple complex carved from limestone over 12,000 years ago, predates agriculture, metal tools, even permanent settlements, yet its builders arranged massive stone pillars into precise circles with an artistry that defies belief. This isn't just older than the pyramids, it's older than writing, older than pottery, older than the wheel. So how did hunter-gatherers who supposedly lived hand-to-mouth engineer such a monumental feat? The answer might rewrite history itself. The site's central marvels are its T-shaped pillars, some towering 16 feet tall and weighing up to 10 tons. Each is adorned with intricate carvings, snarling lions, coiled snakes, scorpions with stingers poised to strike. These aren't mere decorations, they're a menagerie of predators, frozen in stone with a sophistication that suggests deep ritual meaning. One pillar even shows a headless human surrounded by vultures, a possible clue to funerary rites involving sky burials, where the dead were left to be cleansed by birds. The symbolism is so vivid, so deliberate, it hints at a shared belief system stretching across generations. But the real bombshell, Göbekli Tepe, wasn't just built by hunter-gatherers. It might be the reason they stopped hunting and gathering. Archaeologists once assumed humans settled down to farm, then developed religion. This site flips that script. The labor required to quarry, carve, and erect these pillars would have demanded hundreds of workers sustained by organized food supplies. Did the need to feed temple builders push people to cultivate wheat, which grows wild nearby? Ancient DNA suggests domesticated grains appeared in the region shortly after Göbekli Tepe's construction, as if the temple literally planted the seeds of agriculture. Then there's the mystery of its burial. Around 8,000 years ago, someone meticulously filled the entire complex with rubble, preserving it like a time capsule. Was it a ritual act, a way to retire sacred ground, or a practical measure to protect it from invaders or environmental shifts? The covering was so effective that livestock grazed atop the hidden ruins for millennia, their shepherds unaware of the lost world beneath their feet. Göbekli Tepe forces us to confront an unsettling truth. Civilization's origins might be far older and far stranger than we ever imagined. This wasn't a gradual climb from simple to complex, it was a leap. Standing among these pillars, you can almost hear the whispers of a forgotten epoch, a time when humans looked at the raw wilderness and dared to build temples to the unknown. What else might lie buried, waiting to append the story we tell about ourselves? High in the Andes, where clouds cling to jagged peaks like ancient whispers, sits a city that defies both time and logic, Machu Picchu. Built by the Inca in the 15th century without mortar, iron tools, or even the wheel, this mountaintop citadel clings to a ridge so steep it seems to defy gravity. Its stones fit together with such precision that not even a razor blade can slide between them, surviving earthquakes that would topple modern buildings. But what was this place? A royal retreat, a sacred sanctuary, or something far more mysterious? The architecture alone is a marvel. The Inca used a technique called ashlar masonry, carving granite blocks to interlock like a three-dimensional puzzle. This dry stone construction not only withstands tremors but also channels rainwater through hidden channels, preventing erosion. The Intihuatana stone, a ritual pillar at the site's heart, functions as an astronomical clock. During equinoxes, the sun casts no shadow from its central gnomon, a proof the Inca tracked solstices with breathtaking accuracy. Nearby, the Temple of the Sun's window aligns perfectly with the June sunrise, bathing the altar in light. Were these celestial alignments meant to honor deities, or did they serve as an agricultural calendar for terraced fields clinging to the mountainside? Then there's the enigma of abandonment. When Spanish conquistadors arrived in the 16th century, Machu Picchu was already empty, its existence unknown to invaders. Unlike other Inca sites, it shows no signs of battle or forced evacuation. Some theorize it was a pandemic, perhaps smallpox, that wiped out its inhabitants. Others suggest it was a seasonal retreat, abandoned when the empire collapsed. But the most haunting clue lies underground, a labyrinth of tunnels, some leading to chambers still unexplored. Local legends speak of a golden sun disk hidden beneath the city, a sacred object spirited away before the Spanish could loot it. Standing among these ruins, you feel the weight of unanswered questions. Why build a city so inaccessible yet so meticulously planned? How did workers haul stones up vertiginous slopes without beasts of burden? And what final act of reverence or desperation made its people vanish, leaving only echoes in the wind? Machu Picchu isn't just a relic, it's a riddle carved in stone, daring us to unravel it. Stretching across nearly 200 square miles of Peru's bone-dry desert, the Nazca Lines are a gallery of giants' colossal figures etched into the earth so vast they can only be fully appreciated from the sky. Hundreds of geoglyphs sprawl across the landscape, from perfectly straight lines running for miles to intricate depictions of spiders, hummingbirds, and humanoid figures, some stretching over 1,000 feet long. How did an ancient culture, lacking flight or modern tools, design these precise formations, and why? The answers might lie in the intersection of art, astronomy, and something far more otherworldly. The sheer scale of these creations defies logic. The Nazca people, who flourished between 200 BCE and 600 CE, crafted these designs by removing the reddish-brown iron oxide-coated pebbles covering the desert floor, revealing lighter-colored soil beneath. But the real marvel is their precision. Some lines remain arrow-straight for miles, deviating by less than a single degree. The animal glyphs, like the iconic hummingbird or the eerie, long-fingered astronaut figure, boast symmetrical proportions so accurate they rival modern engineering. Without aerial views or advanced surveying tools, how did they achieve this? Archaeologists suspect they scaled up small-scale models using simple stakes and ropes, a technique demonstrated by researchers who recreated smaller geoglyphs with nothing but wooden markers and patience. Yet the purpose of these desert drawings sparks even fiercer debate. Some theories suggest they were celestial maps aligning with solstices or constellations used for agricultural cycles. The famous spider glyph, for instance, may mirror the star cluster of Orion. Others propose they were ritual pathways walked during ceremonies to summon rain in this rainless land, a desperate dialogue with the gods. Then there's the fringe idea. Were they signals or landing strips for beings beyond our understanding? The astronaut figure, with its bulbous head and raised hand, fuels such speculation, though most scholars dismiss it as a stylized shaman or deity. Perhaps the most haunting detail is their preservation. The Nazca Desert's windless, arid climate has kept these lines intact for millennia, as if time itself refused to erase them. But modern threats loom. Illegal mining, encroaching agriculture, and even climate change risk scarring these fragile masterpieces. Standing on a nearby hill where the lines blur into abstraction, you're left with a chilling thought. The Nazca might have created these glyphs not just for their gods or their descendants, but for an audience they couldn't have known would exist us. They etched their questions into the earth, trusting the future would ask them. And now we're left to wonder, were they leaving a message or simply daring us to find one? Carved from a single outcrop of limestone on the Giza Plateau, the Great Sphinx crouches in the desert with the body of a lion and the face of a pharaoh, a silent guardian whose true age has sparked debates fiercer than the Egyptian sun. While mainstream archaeology attributes its construction to Pharaoh Khafre around 2500 BCE, erosion patterns on its weathered flanks tell a conflicting story. Geologists point to vertical weathering marks, suggesting prolonged exposure to heavy rainfall conditions Egypt hasn't experienced since the end of the last ice age over 10,000 years ago. Could the Sphinx be millennia older than we've been led to believe? The controversy only deepens when you examine its missing nose, long blamed on Napoleon's soldiers. Early sketches by European travelers show the nose intact centuries before Napoleon's arrival, hinting at deliberate defacement by someone far older, perhaps even the sands of time itself. Beneath its massive paws lies another enigma, the possibility of hidden chambers. Ground-penetrating radar has revealed anomalies beneath the Sphinx, including a rectangular void beneath its front feet and tunnels snaking toward the pyramids. Ancient texts fuel the speculation. The 3rd century CE Roman historian Ammianus Marcellinus wrote of hidden passageways beneath Giza, constructed with great skill, leading to subterranean repositories of sacred knowledge. Edgar Cayce, the 20th century psychic, famously predicted the discovery of a hall of records beneath the Sphinx, a trove of Atlantean wisdom. While no such chamber has been confirmed, the Egyptian government has alternately permitted and restricted excavations over the decades, adding layers of intrigue. Then there's the riddle of its face. Recent forensic reconstructions comparing the Sphinx's proportions to known statues of Khafre reveal inconsistencies, the jawline broader, the headdress different. Some researchers propose it originally depicted an earlier ruler or even a lioness later recarved. The lack of inscriptions on the Sphinx itself is equally puzzling. In a culture that documented everything, its silence feels deliberate, as if the truth was meant to be guarded, not proclaimed. Standing before it, you're struck by the duality of its presence, both monument and mystery. The Sphinx doesn't just watch over the Giza complex, it challenges our assumptions about history's timeline. Every scar on its surface, every shadow in its gaze whispers the same question: how much of the past have we truly uncovered, and how much remains buried, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself? North of modern-day Mexico City lies a metropolis so vast, so meticulously planned, it makes even Rome seem haphazard. Teotihuacan, the city of the gods. Built over 2,000 years ago, this sprawling urban marvel stretches across 8 square miles, its grid of streets and towering pyramids aligned with celestial precision. Yet for all its grandeur, we don't even know what its builders called themselves. The Aztecs, who discovered the abandoned ruins centuries later, gave it its current name, awestruck by its scale. Who were these master architects, and why did they vanish without a trace? The answers might be written in the stones themselves. Dominating the skyline are the Pyramid of the Sun and the Pyramid of the Moon, twin monuments that seem to pull the heavens down to earth. The Pyramid of the Sun, rising 216 feet, was constructed with over 3 million tons of stone, yet no wheels or draft animals were used to move them. Its base aligns almost perfectly with the points of the compass, while its western facade catches the sun's dying light during the spring and autumn equinoxes, setting the entire structure ablaze with golden light. Climb its steep steps and you'll find yourself standing above a hidden cave system, discovered in the 1970s, which may have been used for sacred rituals or even as a symbolic womb of creation. Facing it across the Avenue of the Dead, a 2.5-mile-long thoroughfare lined with the ruins of temples and palaces, the Pyramid of the Moon offers its own mysteries. Smaller but more elegantly proportioned, its tiers mirror the shape of the mountain behind it, blending human craftsmanship with the natural world. Recent excavations revealed a gruesome secret beneath its altar: the remains of sacrificed individuals, their hands bound behind their backs, accompanied by jade ornaments and obsidian blades. Was this a place of divine communion or a stage for unimaginable acts of devotion? Then there's the city's sudden collapse. Around 600 CE, Teotihuacan's meticulously maintained buildings were set ablaze, their murals defaced, their temples desecrated. Archaeologists have found evidence of a violent uprising, statues decapitated, elite residences burned, suggesting the city's own people turned against their rulers. But why? Drought, famine, or something darker, like the weight of a rigid social hierarchy finally snapping? The strangest clue lies in the absence of any written records. Teotihuacan's art depicts gods, animals, and warriors, but no kings, no conquest, no names. It's as if the city erased itself on purpose, leaving only its stones to whisper half-formed truths. Perhaps the most haunting detail is the city's celestial blueprint. The entire layout mirrors the constellations, with the Pyramid of the Sun aligning with the star Aldebaran, and the Avenue of the Dead tracing the path of the Milky Way. Even the placement of smaller structures corresponds to planets visible to the naked eye. Were the builders mapping the cosmos, or did they believe their city was a reflection of the heavens? Standing in the shadow of these pyramids, you can't help but feel the weight of their silence. They don't just defy explanation, they challenge us to question whether some mysteries are meant to stay buried. Beneath the rolling green hills of Ireland's Boyne Valley, a prehistoric masterpiece lies hidden in plain sight. Newgrange, a 5,000-year-old passage tomb, predates the pyramids of Egypt and Stonehenge by centuries, yet its design reveals a sophistication that still leaves modern archaeologists in awe. From the outside, it appears as a massive, grass-covered mound, its white quartz facade glittering in the sunlight. But step inside and you're met with a narrow, 60-foot stone corridor leading to a cross-shaped chamber, its walls adorned with intricate spiral carvings that seem to pulse with ancient energy. The true marvel of Newgrange reveals itself just once a year, at dawn on the winter solstice, for 17 minutes as the sun crests the horizon. A precise slit above the entrance, known as the roof box, allows a single beam of golden light to pierce the darkness. It creeps slowly down the passageway, illuminating the inner chamber in a radiant glow before vanishing as abruptly as it appeared. This wasn't luck. The tomb's builders, Neolithic farmers with no written language or metal tools, engineered this celestial alignment with staggering accuracy. They calculated the sun's lowest point in the sky, accounting for the landscape's natural slope, and constructed the roof box to capture its light like a cosmic key fitting into a lock. What's even more astonishing, Newgrange isn't alone. It's part of a vast ritual landscape with sister tombs like Noth and Douth nearby, each aligned to different solar and lunar events. The curbstones surrounding Newgrange's base are carved with symbols, triple spirals, zigzags, concentric circles whose meanings have been lost to time. Some speculate they represent the cycles of life, death, and rebirth, while others see maps of the stars or even ancient mathematical equations. The tomb's purpose remains debated. Was it a sacred site for solstice rituals, a burial chamber for elite leaders, or perhaps an astronomical observatory? Bones found inside suggest human remains were placed there, but the presence of ceremonial objects hints at something grander than mere interment. The construction itself defies logic. The massive stones were transported from miles away, some weighing over 200,000 pounds, yet fit together so tightly that the interior has remained waterproof for millennia. The mound's layered structure, alternating between stone, earth, and clay, acts as a natural stabilizer, preventing collapse. Even the white quartz covering the facade was sourced from over 50 miles distant, a deliberate choice that would have required coordinated labor on an unprecedented scale. Standing in the solstice chamber, bathed in that fleeting sunlight, you can't help but feel the weight of the questions left unanswered. Who were the people who conceived this? How did they pass down such precise knowledge across generations without writing? And why did they go to such lengths to capture a single moment of light in the darkest days of winter? Newgrange doesn't just challenge our understanding of prehistoric societies, it whispers of a connection between earth and sky, between the living and the dead, that we're only beginning to decipher. The stones hold their secrets close, but every winter solstice, for those 17 minutes, they offer a glimpse into a world where time itself seemed to bend to human will. Stretching across the windswept coastline of Brittany like a vast, silent army, the Karnak stones stand as one of Europe's most enigmatic prehistoric puzzles. Over 3,000 weathered megaliths, some towering as high as 20 feet, march in eerie parallel rows across 4 square miles of French countryside. Unlike the clustered circles of Stonehenge, these stones form precise lines, 11 converging avenues that fan out across the landscape with almost military discipline. Who orchestrated this monumental arrangement nearly 6,000 years ago, and what message were they trying to carve into the earth? The theories range from the scientific to the supernatural, each as compelling as the stones themselves. Look closely and patterns emerge. Several alignments point toward sunrise positions during solstices and equinoxes, suggesting the site functioned as a colossal astronomical calendar. The Grand Menhir Brisset, now toppled but once the tallest standing stone in Europe at 66 feet, may have served as a central sighting marker for tracking lunar cycles. Intriguingly, the spacing between some stones corresponds to mathematical ratios found in later Neolithic monuments across Europe, hinting at a shared system of measurement, or even a forgotten network of sacred sites. But not all explanations dwell in the stars. Local legends whisper that the stones are Roman soldiers petrified by the wizard Merlin, or that they mark the graves of warriors from an ancient battle. One persistent myth claims the megaliths walked to the sea at night, returning by dawn, their bases still damp with salt water. The mystery deepens when you consider the labor involved. Unlike quarried blocks, these granite giants were plucked from bedrock outcrops miles away, then dragged and erected using nothing but wooden sledges and raw manpower. The largest weigh over 300 tons, equivalent to 200 cars, yet they were positioned with such precision that some rows remain arrow straight for nearly a kilometer. Even more puzzling is the evidence of deliberate destruction. Many stones lie shattered as if struck by tremendous force. Archaeologists debate whether this was the work of medieval Christians purging pagan symbols or something far older, a ritual act of decommissioning sacred ground. Perhaps the most haunting question isn't how the Karnak stones were built, but why they were abandoned. By the time Bronze Age farmers began cultivating the land around them, the stones already stood as relics of a vanished culture. No burials, no tools, no written clues, just these silent sentinels, their original purpose eroded by millennia of wind and speculation. Walking among them today, you feel the weight of their silence. They don't just defy explanation, they seem to guard it, as if the truth were written in some language we've yet to decipher. Every aligned stone, every fractured monolith whispers the same tantalizing riddle. Some stories aren't meant to be told, only witnessed. Emerging from the dense Cambodian jungle like a mirage of stone, Angkor Wat stands as the largest religious monument ever constructed, a sprawling testament to human devotion and ingenuity. Built in the early 12th century by King Suryavarman II, this vast temple complex originally honored the Hindu god Vishnu. Its 5 iconic towers designed to mirror the sacred Mount Meru, home of the gods. But within centuries, as Buddhism took root across the region, Angkor Wat transformed into a Buddhist sanctuary. its walls absorbing both faiths in layers of carvings that tell stories of creation, war, and enlightenment. The scale alone is staggering. The moat surrounding the temple stretches over 3 miles, its waters reflecting the towering spires like a mirror to the heavens. Sandstone blocks, each weighing up to 1.5 tons, were floated down the Siem Reap River from quarries over 30 miles away, then hauled into place with an intricate system of pulleys and ramps. The builders achieved near-perfect symmetry across 400 acres, aligning the central tower precisely with the spring equinox sunrise, a celestial nod to rebirth and renewal. But what truly astonishes is the precision of their dry stone construction. Without mortar, they fitted blocks so tightly that even today, you can't slip a sheet of paper between them, creating a structure that's weathered earthquakes and centuries of monsoon rain. Step closer and the walls come alive with over 12,000 square feet of bas-reliefs, depicting everything from Hindu epics like the churning of the ocean of milk to historical battles led by Suryavarman himself. One panel shows celestial dancers, their delicate gestures frozen in stone, while another captures a parade of elephants stretching nearly 200 feet long, each detail carved with a jeweler's precision. Even the staircases whisper secrets. Their steep, narrow steps force climbers to ascend at a hunched posture, a deliberate design reminding visitors to approach the divine with humility. Yet Angkor Wat's greatest mystery might be its sudden abandonment in the 15th century. Theories range from invading Siamese armies to an ecological collapse caused by deforestation and failed water systems. LiDAR scans have revealed an entire hidden city around the temple, complete with streets, canals, and dwellings swallowed by the jungle, proof that this was more than a temple but the heart of an empire. Today, as sunrise paints its towers gold, you can almost hear the echoes of 1,000 prayers, blending Hindu chants with Buddhist mantras. Angkor Wat isn't just a monument. It's a living conversation between earth and sky, between the hands that built it and the generations who have wondered at its silence. What secrets still lie buried beneath its stones, waiting for the right light to reveal them? Scattered across Mexico's steamy jungles and swampy lowlands, the Olmec colossal heads stare out from the past with an eerie, silent intensity. Carved from single blocks of volcanic basalt between 1500 and 400 BCE, these massive sculptures weigh up to 40 tons each, some standing over 10 feet tall, and bear the unmistakable faces of helmeted figures with broad noses, full lips, and eyes that seem to follow you no matter where you stand. But who were these stone giants meant to depict? The leading theory suggests they're portraits of powerful Olmec rulers, immortalized in rock to project their authority across the centuries. The intricate headdresses, each uniquely carved, might represent individual insignias of power like ancient crowns molded in stone. Yet not a single inscription or name survives to confirm their identities, leaving us to wonder if these were kings, gods, or perhaps even legendary ancestors watching over the living. The real enigma isn't just their likenesses, it's how they got there. The basalt used for these monoliths came from the Tuxtla Mountains, quarried from the slopes of volcanoes like Cerro Sintepec. But many heads were discovered over 50 miles from their source, across rivers, swamps, and dense jungle. Without wheels, pack animals, or metal tools, how did the Olmec transport these behemoths? Some researchers believe they floated the stones on massive balsa wood rafts along coastal waterways, then hauled them inland using log rollers and rope made from agave fibers. Others point to traces of ancient causeways, raised roads built from compacted earth that could have served as pathways for sledges dragged by hundreds of laborers. The logistics would have required staggering coordination, suggesting a society far more complex than historians once assumed for this mother culture of Mesoamerica. Then there's the question of their unfinished story. 17 confirmed heads have been uncovered, but archaeologists suspect more lie buried, waiting to be found. Some show deliberate damage, noses smashed, features defaced, hinting at political upheaval or ritual deactivation of a ruler's legacy. At the site of La Venta, 4 heads were arranged in a haunting line, facing outward as if guarding sacred space. Were they protectors, memorials, or warnings carved in stone? The Olmec left no written records to explain their motives, but their influence rippled across later civilizations like the Maya and Aztec, who adopted their artistry and symbolism. These heads aren't just relics, they're the first chapter in a story of power and memory, carved by hands that understood stone could outlast flesh. Standing before them, you don't just see faces, you feel the weight of their gaze, a silent challenge from a world that refused to be forgotten. Beneath the sun-baked plains of Cappadocia in Turkey lies a labyrinth so vast and intricate it could shelter thousands. Derinkuyu, an underground city carved straight into the volcanic rock over 2,500 years ago. Descending nearly 200 feet deep across 18 levels, this subterranean metropolis wasn't just a temporary hideout but a fully functional refuge, complete with stables, chapels, wine presses, and even a complex network of ventilation shafts that kept the air fresh for generations, hiding in the shadows. Who built this stone sanctuary, and what were they fleeing from? The answers reveal a survival story written in rock. The sheer scale of Derinkuyu staggers the imagination. Its narrow, winding corridors connect living quarters, storage rooms, and communal spaces, all designed to sustain life for months or even years without surfacing. Massive circular stone doors, each weighing up to half a ton, could seal entire sections of the city from invaders, rolled into place from the inside like something out of an ancient fortress. But the real engineering marvel lies in the details. 52 ventilation shafts ensured a steady flow of fresh air to the deepest chambers, while an underground river and hand-carved wells provided water. Even the temperature remained a constant 55 degrees Fahrenheit year-round, a natural advantage of living beneath the earth. Who were the masterminds behind this hidden world? Most evidence points to the Phrygians around the 8th century BCE, though later expansions suggest Byzantine Christians used it to evade Arab invaders during the 7th century. The walls tell silent stories of desperation, crosses carved into niches, soot stains from oil lamps that once flickered in the dark, and even hidden escape tunnels that snake toward other underground cities in the region, forming a secret subway system of survival. Then there's the haunting question of necessity. Cappadocia's soft volcanic rock made excavation easier, but the effort still required coordinated labor on a staggering scale. Was Derinkuyu built as a precaution, or did its creators face relentless threats? Some historians believe it sheltered entire communities during waves of persecution, from Roman raids to Mongol invasions. Others speculate it served as a sacred space for rituals, its depth symbolizing a journey to the underworld. Standing in its shadowy passages today, you can almost hear the echoes of whispered conversations, the muffled footsteps of families living by lamplight. Derinkuyu isn't just a feat of engineering, it's a monument to resilience, a testament to the lengths humans will go to protect one another, and perhaps the most chilling thought. Over 600 underground structures have been found in Cappadocia so far, but only a fraction have been fully explored. What other secrets might lie buried, waiting to rewrite the story of our past? Off the coast of Japan's westernmost island, Yonaguni, lies a discovery so controversial it split the scientific community for decades. Beneath 60 feet of crystal-clear water, a massive stepped structure rises from the ocean floor. Its flat terraces, sharp angles, and near-perfect 90-degree corners looking anything but natural. The Yonaguni Monument, as it's known, stretches nearly 500 feet long and 130 feet tall, its sandstone face carved into what appears to be deliberate platforms and staircases. But here's where the mystery deepens. Is this the handiwork of an ancient civilization swallowed by the sea, or just an incredibly convincing geological fluke? Dive down to explore its features, and the case for human intervention feels compelling. The monument's two central platforms align with uncanny precision, their edges meeting in razor-straight lines that defy the organic curves typically shaped by erosion. Nearby, what looks like a carved ceremonial gateway frames the open water, while a straight trench runs along the base like a purposeful pathway. Most striking of all is the turtle, a rectangular boulder perched atop one terrace, its edges so unnaturally symmetrical that even skeptics pause. Marine geologist Masaki Kimura, who studied the site for over 30 years, points to tool marks and what he believes are quarrying scars evidence, he argues, of a pyramid-like structure constructed when this area was above water, possibly as far back as 10,000 years ago during the last ice age. But nature has its defenders. Opposing researchers like Robert Schock argue that sandstone naturally fractures along geometric planes, creating step-like formations through tectonic activity. They note that similar flat irons appear in other underwater rock formations worldwide, shaped entirely by currents and seismic shifts. The monument's location atop an active fault line adds weight to this theory, with earthquakes potentially shearing the stone into deceptive shapes. Even the turtle, they claim, could be a coincidental breakage pattern. Then there's the tantalizing context. Yonaguni sits near the hypothetical Mu continent, a Pacific counterpart to Atlantis famously theorized by 19th century scholars. While mainstream archaeology dismisses Mu as myth, local legends speak of a sunken city, and nearby underwater ruins show what might be carved megaliths or altars. Could Yonaguni be part of a broader complex? The debate isn't just academic, it challenges our timeline of human achievement. If man-made, it would rewrite history, proving advanced civilizations flourished millennia earlier than currently accepted. For now, the monument keeps its secrets, its true origins lost between the cracks of geology and legend. But perhaps the most haunting detail isn't its shape, but its silence. Unlike terrestrial ruins, Yonaguni offers no artifacts, no bones, no inscriptions to decode. It simply exists, a riddle wrapped in coral and currents, daring us to reconsider what's possible and how much of our past might still be hidden beneath the waves. Whether temple or trick of the earth, one thing's certain, the sea guards its mysteries well. Carved into the foothills of Lebanon's Bekaa Valley, the ruins of Baalbek stand as one of the most bewildering architectural feats of antiquity. At first glance, this sprawling Roman temple complex dedicated to Jupiter, Bacchus, and Venus seems like just another relic of imperial grandeur. But crouched beneath its ornate columns and intricate friezes lies a foundation so staggering it defies all conventional logic. The trilithon, a row of 3 limestone blocks in the temple's podium, each measures 64 feet long, 14 feet high, and 12 feet deep, weighing an almost incomprehensible 800 to 1,000 tons. That's heavier than 3 fully loaded Boeing 747 jets, and they're not alone. Nearby, an even larger monolith nicknamed the Stone of the Pregnant Woman lies partially quarried, estimated at a mind-numbing 1,650 tons, making it the single largest piece of stone ever shaped by human hands. The puzzle of how these stones were moved has haunted engineers and archaeologists for centuries. The Romans, who built the visible temples around 15 BCE, left detailed records of their construction techniques, yet they never mentioned the megalithic foundation, likely because they didn't create it. These blocks predate Rome's arrival by millennia, their origins lost to an older, vanished culture. Cutting them alone would have required bronze or iron tools harder than limestone, yet no such tools have been found. Transporting them from the quarry half a mile away seems even more impossible. Modern engineers calculate it would take 24,000 men to drag the stone of the pregnant woman on a sled, assuming the terrain could support such weight without collapsing. Theories abound, each more inventive than the last. Some suggest the builders used a system of counterweighted levers, flipping the stones end over end like colossal dice. Others propose they floated the blocks on artificial canals during seasonal floods, a technique hinted at in ancient Mesopotamian texts. More controversial ideas point to lost technologies, vibrational anti-gravity, or even acoustic levitation, citing legends of cultures who could sing stones into place. The truth may lie in a forgotten combination of brute force and ingenuity. Recent experiments show that wet clay reduces friction dramatically, allowing teams of laborers to move massive stones with ropes and wooden rollers. But even this fails to explain how the blocks were hoisted 20 feet onto the podium's upper layers without cranes or pulleys. Perhaps the most unsettling detail is the precision. The trilithon stones fit together so tightly that, like the pyramids of Giza, you can't slip a razor blade between them. Their surfaces show drill marks and tooling patterns unmatched by Roman craftsmanship, suggesting an advanced pre-existing construction tradition. Local myths add to the intrigue, claiming the site was built by a race of giants or the biblical figure Cain, who supposedly sought refuge here after killing Abel. Even the name Stone of the Pregnant Woman stems from folklore that pregnant women could grant the stones supernatural lightness by touching them. Standing before these megaliths, you're left with a humbling realization. Baalbek's greatest mysteries aren't in its temples but beneath them. Whoever built this foundation possessed knowledge that challenges our understanding of ancient capabilities. The stones don't just sit there, they dare us to rethink history's timeline, whispering of a time when humans moved mountains and the line between myth and engineering blurred into the unknown. Perched high above the city of Cusco, the stone walls of Sacsayhuaman loom like the jagged teeth of some ancient giant, massive, interlocking blocks weighing up to 300 tons, fitted together with such precision that not even a sheet of paper can slide between them. This sprawling fortress, built by the Inca in the 15th century, defies logic not just in its construction but in its endurance. For 500 years, it's withstood countless earthquakes that have toppled modern buildings all around it. How did a civilization without mortar, iron tools, or even the wheel create something so indestructible? The answers might lie in stones that seem almost alive. Walk along the zigzagging walls and you'll notice something eerie. The blocks aren't rectangular but polygonal, their edges cut at slight angles to lock into one another like a three-dimensional puzzle. This wasn't just artistic flair, it was seismic genius. During tremors, the stones shift and settle without collapsing, their irregular shapes distributing energy like shock absorbers. Some speculate the Inca used a technique called ashlar masonry, softening the stone with plant acids to mold them into place, though no definitive evidence proves this. Others believe they employed a system of trial and error, meticulously shaping each block to fit its neighbor through relentless adjustments. The result? A structure so resilient that Spanish conquistadors, baffled by its strength, claimed it must have been built by demons. Then there's the enigma of transportation. The nearest quarry lies over 20 miles away across steep Andean terrain. Without wheels or draft animals, how did the Inca move these megaliths? Oral traditions speak of a mythical substance that made stones weightless, while modern experiments suggest they might have used log rollers and inclined planes, hundreds of laborers hauling them with ropes woven from grass. But the most haunting detail is the absence of chisel marks. Many surfaces are polished smooth, as if the stones were melted into place. Purpose adds another layer of mystery. While Spanish records called it a fortress, Sacsayhuaman's layout suggests something grander. A ceremonial hub aligned with solstices, its zigzag walls possibly mirroring the lightning bolt, a sacred symbol of the Inca god Illapa. During the June winter solstice, sunlight strikes specific niches in the walls, marking the new year in the Inca calendar. Was this a military stronghold, a temple, or both? The stones won't say. Perhaps the greatest testament to Sacsayhuaman's brilliance is what it lacks: cracks, repairs, or signs of weakness. In a land where the earth constantly shudders, these walls stand unyielding. They don't just resist time, they mock it, and every quake that passes only tightens their grip, as if the stones themselves remember the hands that placed them and the secrets those hands took to the grave. Buried beneath the sands of modern-day Pakistan lies a city so meticulously planned, it rivals the efficiency of 21st-century urban design. Mohenjo-Daro, the jewel of the Indus Valley civilization. Flourishing over 4,500 years ago, this ancient metropolis boasted grid-patterned streets, a sophisticated drainage system, and even multi-story buildings, all constructed with a precision that suggests an almost modern understanding of civil engineering. The most striking feature, every brick in the city, from the grandest bathhouse to the humblest dwelling, conformed to a standardized ratio echoing the same mathematical harmony found in later Roman and Greek architecture. But how did a Bronze Age society achieve such uniformity without centralized blueprints or written records? The answer may lie in the Indus Valley's obsession with order, a cultural fingerprint visible in everything from their perfectly weighted trade goods to their meticulously sealed clay pipes. At the heart of the city stood the Great Bath, a vast watertight pool lined with bitumen, an ancient form of waterproofing, and fed by an elaborate network of wells and drains. This wasn't just a public amenity, it was likely a ritual space hinting at a society where cleanliness and spirituality were intertwined. Nearby, the granary, with its raised platforms and air ducts, suggests a mastery of food storage that would have been the envy of medieval Europe. Yet for all its advancements, Mohenjo-Daro holds one particularly eerie distinction: its sudden, unexplained collapse. Unlike cities ravaged by war, the ruins show no signs of invasion, no burnt walls, no mass graves. Instead, the streets are littered with unburied skeletons, some clutching hands as if frozen mid-flight. What catastrophe could have struck so swiftly that people didn't even have time to flee? This brings us to the most contentious puzzle: the vitrified stones. Scattered throughout the ruins are patches of fused brick and pottery, their surfaces melted into glassy streaks by temperatures exceeding 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit. Mainstream archaeologists attribute this to ancient kiln accidents or concentrated fires, but fringe theorists point to these as evidence of an ancient atomic blast, citing the Mahabharata's descriptions of iron thunderbolts and sky-borne death. While no credible evidence supports such claims, the vitrification remains stubbornly unexplained. Could it have been caused by a meteoric airburst like the one that flattened Tunguska in 1908? Or perhaps the byproduct of some lost Indus Valley technology, a fire hot enough to fuse stone but leave skeletons intact? The silence of the Indus script only deepens the mystery. Thousands of inscribed seals and tablets have been found, but their symbols remain undeciphered, locking away the city's final moments like a cipher without a key. What we do know is this: Mohenjo-Daro didn't just fade, it vanished mid-stride. A clock stopped at the precise moment disaster struck. Walking its empty streets today, you can almost feel the absence, as if the stones themselves are waiting for someone to finally ask the right question. And maybe that's the point. Some mysteries aren't meant to be solved, only witnessed. Deep beneath the rolling hills of China's Zhejiang province lies an underground labyrinth so vast and precisely carved that it defies explanation: the Longyu Caves. Discovered by accident in 1992 when a curious villager drained a local pond, these caverns reveal a staggering feat of human labor: 24 hand-chiseled grottos spanning over 30,000 square meters, each one a cathedral of stone carved with uniform, parallel grooves that ripple across every surface like frozen waves. The scale alone is mind-boggling. Some chambers stretch over 100 feet high, their ceilings supported by towering pillars left strategically intact during excavation. But what truly unnerves archaeologists isn't just the size, but the eerie precision. Every wall, every column, every arched doorway mirrors the others in exact proportions, as if drafted by some ancient architect wielding lasers rather than crude iron tools. The mystery deepens when you consider the logistics. Estimations suggest over 1 million cubic meters of rock were painstakingly removed, likely using nothing but hammers and chisels. Where did all that stone go? No debris piles or quarry sites have ever been found nearby. Even stranger, no historical records, no scrolls, no local folklore mention these caves. It's as if they were carved in secret, then wiped from memory. The absence of tool marks or soot stains rules out torches. How did workers see in the pitch black? Some theorize they used mirrored sunlight, angling polished bronze discs to reflect light deep into the tunnels. Others point to the groove's acoustics. Certain frequencies resonate unnaturally here, suggesting the caves might have been designed to amplify sound for rituals we can only guess at. Purpose only thickens the enigma. The lack of artifacts or inscriptions leaves no clues. Were they imperial storehouses, hidden fortresses, a subterranean palace abandoned mid-construction? The most tantalizing hint comes from their alignment. Several caves point toward the nearby river, their entrances positioned where ancient water levels would have allowed boats to dock inside. Could this have been a clandestine naval base or a flooded ceremonial complex? Even the walls whisper riddles. Carvings of fish, birds, and unified horses appear in a few chambers, their styles matching no known dynasty. Perhaps the most haunting detail is the cave's refusal to decay. Despite being submerged for centuries, the stone shows no signs of water erosion. The builders somehow treated the surfaces with a preservative lost to time, a technique modern scientists still can't replicate. Standing in these echoing halls, you're struck by the unsettling perfection. Each groove, each pillar placed with mathematical intent. The Longyu caves don't just defy history, they taunt it, as if their creators left behind not just a monument but a challenge. Solve us if you can. And so far, no one has. Rising from a quiet Georgia pasture like a modern-day Stonehenge, the Georgia Guidestone stood as one of America's most enigmatic monuments until their abrupt and violent destruction in 2022. Erected in 1980, this 19-foot-tall granite structure bore 10 commandments in 8 languages, etched with eerie precision into its 6 massive slabs. Yet from the beginning, everything about it was shrouded in secrecy. The monument was commissioned by a man using the pseudonym Robert C. Christian, who claimed to represent a small group of anonymous patrons. To this day, their true identities remain unknown, fueling decades of speculation, conspiracy theories, and heated debate. The Guidestone's inscriptions offered a mix of pragmatic advice and cryptic warnings, urging humanity to maintain global balance, avoid petty laws, and, most controversially, keep the world's population under 500 million. This last directive, alongside calls for harmony with nature and a new age of reason, led some to hail the stones as a blueprint for a sustainable future, while others branded them the work of an elitist cabal. The multilingual messaging carved in English, Spanish, Swahili, Hindi, Hebrew, Arabic, Chinese, and Russian only deepened the intrigue. Why these languages? Were they chosen as the most spoken, or did they hint at some hidden geopolitical alignment? Construction added another layer of mystery. The granite was quarried locally, yet cutting and assembling the slabs required precision engineering that baffled workers. Each piece was aligned astronomically. One slot tracked the sun's solstice positions, while a hole drilled through the capstone pointed to Polaris, the North Star. A smaller aperture in the central pillar marked noontime sunlight, effectively turning the entire structure into a massive, modern-day sundial and compass. This wasn't just philosophy set in stone. It was science, geometry, and esoteric symbolism fused into a single monument. Then came the destruction. In the pre-dawn hours of July 6, 2022, explosions ripped through the Guidestones, reducing much of the structure to rubble. Authorities later deemed it an act of vandalism, but the timing amid rising political tensions and online conspiracy theories left many questioning the motives. Was this an attempt to erase a controversial message, or merely the climax of years of polarized interpretations? The fragments that remained were hauled away, leaving only the foundation as a ghostly outline of what once stood. What lingers isn't just the physical absence, but the questions the guidestones provoked. Were they a genuine attempt to guide humanity, an elaborate art project, or something more ominous? Their anonymity, precision, and sudden erasure mirror the very mysteries of ancient monuments we've explored, proof that even in our modern age, stone can still whisper secrets we may never fully understand. The only difference, this time we watch the mystery unfold in real time. Buried beneath the quiet streets of Paula, Malta, lies a subterranean labyrinth so acoustically perfect, it feels less like a burial site and more like a cathedral built for sound. The Hypogeum of Halsafliani. Discovered by accident in 1902 by construction workers, this three-level underground complex dates back over 5,000 years, making it one of the oldest prehistoric hypogea in the world. But what sets it apart isn't just its age, it's the way the very walls seem to hum with secrets. Carved from soft Globigerina limestone, the chambers and passageways echo with an otherworldly resonance. Speak in the so-called oracle chamber, and your voice amplifies, vibrating at a frequency that reverberates through your bones. Some claim certain pitches trigger a sensation of weightlessness, as if the air itself pulses with energy. How did Neolithic builders, without so much as a written language, engineer such precise acoustics? The hypogeum's design only deepens the mystery. Its chambers mimic the above-ground temples of Malta's megalithic culture, complete with carved doorways, altars, and even faux windows that let in nothing but shadow. The walls ripple with red ochre spirals and geometric patterns, their pigments still vibrant after millennia. But the most haunting features are the niches, tiny shelves cut into the stone, arranged in clusters like honeycombs. Excavations revealed the bones of over 7,000 individuals stacked carefully in these recesses, suggesting this was more than a tomb. It was a sacred space where the living communed with the dead. Then there's the sound. Researchers analyzing the oracle chamber's acoustics found it resonates at 110 Hz, a frequency known to alter brain activity, triggering shifts in perception and even mild trance states. Ancient cultures from the Maya to the Greeks built structures tuned to this magic frequency, believed to enhance ritual experiences. Was the hypogeum a prehistoric sound chamber where shamans or priests used vocal harmonics to bridge worlds? Local folklore speaks of legends where voices from the underworld guided the living, and modern experiments show that chanting or drumming in certain spots creates a surround sound effect, as if the walls themselves are singing back. Yet the hypogeum guards its secrets fiercely. In the 1980s, a group of schoolchildren visiting the site reported seeing a procession of tall, shadowy figures before falling into a collective hysterical episode. Whether hallucination or something stranger, the incident led to temporary closures. Even today, cameras malfunction, audio recordings distort, and visitors describe an uncanny pressure in the air, as if the weight of centuries presses down on them. Perhaps the most unsettling detail is the absence of answers. No tools, no inscriptions, no burial artifacts beyond the bones themselves. The hypogeum exists in silence, its purpose locked in the same stone that amplifies whispers across millennia. To walk its corridors is to step into a space where sound transcends time, where every footfall, every breath, becomes part of a ritual nobody living remembers, but nobody dead has forgotten. High in the Bolivian Andes, at an altitude that steals your breath, lies a field of shattered stone so precisely carved it looks like the ruins of a celestial factory, Puma Punku. Part of the larger Tiwanaku complex, this collection of fractured megaliths and geometric blocks doesn't just challenge our understanding of ancient engineering, it obliterates it. The most bewildering feature, the stones, not their size, though some weigh over 100 tons, but their craftsmanship. perfectly straight edges, razor-sharp corners, and intricate notches cut with such mathematical precision that modern engineers struggle to replicate them without computer-guided tools. These aren't rough-hewn boulders, they're architectural puzzles interlocking like pieces of a grand, vanished machine. Take the infamous H-blocks, massive sandstone slabs riddled with identically spaced drill holes and uniform grooves. Each one mirrors the next with micrometer-level accuracy, as if mass-produced by some ancient assembly line. Even more baffling are the andesite stones, a volcanic rock harder than granite. Their surfaces bare cut so smooth and precise they suggest diamond-tipped tools, yet the Tiwanaku culture, which flourished here between 500 and 1000 CE, supposedly worked with nothing but stone hammers and bronze chisels. How did they achieve this? Some researchers point to lost techniques like high-temperature softening or sonic drilling, methods hinted at in fragmented oral traditions. Others argue these stones aren't Tiwanaku at all, but relics of a far older civilization repurposed by later builders. The timeline controversy only fuels the mystery. Mainstream archaeology dates Puma Punku to around 500 to 600 CE, but geological evidence complicates the story. Sediment layers suggest the site was submerged by a cataclysmic flood around 12,000 years ago, a theory bolstered by local myths of a great deluge. If true, Puma Punku could predate the pyramids by millennia. Then there's the site's sudden destruction. The megaliths aren't just weathered, they're violently scattered, as if hit by an explosion or seismic event powerful enough to fling 100-ton blocks like twigs. Spanish chronicles recorded Inca legends claiming the site was already in ruins when they arrived, its builders long vanished. What lingers isn't just the question of who built Puma Punku, but why. Unlike most ancient sites, there's no clear religious or residential purpose. No altars, no murals, no tombs, just a sprawling jigsaw of stone, its original blueprint lost. Some theorize it was a cosmic docking station, aligning with celestial events like the Pleiades' rise, sacred to the Tiwanaku. Others see a utilitarian hub, perhaps a massive flood control system or even an ancient smelting facility, hinted at by traces of metallurgy in the rubble. Standing among these ruins, you're struck not by their grandeur but their indifference. Puma Punku doesn't whisper clues, it dares you to rethink history entirely. Every cut stone, every fractured edge seems to ask the same ruthless question. What if we've been wrong all along? In the quiet suburbs of Homestead, Florida, stands a monument to one man's obsession, Coral Castle, a sprawling complex of massive stone sculptures and megalithic walls, all carved from over 1,000 tons of oolite limestone. What makes this place extraordinary isn't just the sheer weight of the stones, but the fact that a single man, Edward Leedskalnin, built it alone under the cover of darkness, using methods he took to his grave. Standing just 5 feet tall and weighing barely 100 pounds, Leedskalnin defied every law of physics, manipulating blocks heavier than those in the Great Pyramid with no modern machinery, no crew, and no explanation. How did he do it? The answers, or lack thereof, are as baffling as the stones themselves. Leedskalnin's tools were laughably primitive, rusted car jacks, chains, and homemade pulleys. Yet he managed to quarry, transport, and position monolithic slabs, some weighing as much as 30 tons. Witnesses reported seeing him work at night, humming to himself as the stones seemed to move almost effortlessly. When asked how he achieved such feats, he'd only cryptically reply, "I understand the laws of weight and leverage." But physics experts have long scratched their heads at that claim. The castle's centerpiece, a 9-ton revolving gate, was so perfectly balanced that a child could push it open with a finger. Yet it took teams of engineers with lasers decades later to replicate its precision after the original mechanism failed. Then there's the mystery of motivation. Leedskalnin, a Latvian immigrant, claimed he built the castle for his lost love, Agnes, who jilted him the night before their wedding. Whether it was a monument to heartbreak or something darker remains unclear. The site is littered with bizarre artifacts, a crescent-shaped moon fountain that aligns with lunar phases, a towering obelisk inscribed with celestial coordinates, and a massive rocking chair carved from a single block, seemingly designed for a giant. Some speculate Leedskalnin tapped into ancient knowledge or even anti-gravity techniques, citing his handwritten pamphlets on magnetic currents and perpetual motion. Others insist he simply had an uncanny grasp of counterweights and pivot points, honed through years of trial and error. The greatest enigma, though, is what happened to his secrets. When Leedskalnin fell ill in 1951, he checked himself into a hospital with a simple sign on his door, "Going to the hospital." He died 3 days later, leaving no blueprints, no journals, and no witnesses to his methods. Attempts to X-ray the stones for hidden mechanisms have revealed nothing. Even more haunting, photos from the 1920s show him suspending massive blocks mid-air with nothing but a tripod of wooden poles, a feat modern physics can't explain. Today, Coral Castle stands as a testament to the limits of human ingenuity, or perhaps the existence of knowledge lost to time. Walking through its coral archways, you're left with the eerie sense that Leedskalnin wasn't just building a castle, he was encoding a riddle in stone, one we're no closer to solving. The stones don't whisper their secrets, they dare us to try and lift the veil. And so far, like Agnes, the truth remains just out of reach. Beneath the turquoise waves of India's Gulf of Combat lies a discovery that blurs the line between myth and history, the submerged ruins of Dwarka. According to ancient Hindu texts like the Mahabharata, this was no ordinary city but the legendary kingdom of Lord Krishna, a celestial metropolis said to have vanished beneath the sea upon his death. For centuries, scholars dismissed Dwarka as pure allegory, until marine archaeologists began pulling artifacts from the ocean floor that matched the descriptions down to startling details. The findings ignited a debate that continues to rage. Is this the remains of a mythical paradise or proof of an advanced civilization lost to rising tides? The first concrete clues emerged in the 1980s when divers spotted stone structures nearly 100 feet underwater, massive walls, paved pathways, and even a fortified citadel matching the dimensions described in scripture. Further expeditions uncovered pottery shards, beads, and stone anchors carbon dated to at least 3,500 years old, aligning with the traditional timeline of Krishna's reign. But the real bombshell came in 2001, when sonar scans revealed a sprawling grid of ruins stretching over 5 square miles, including a submerged river channel eerily similar to the Saraswati mentioned in the Mahabharata. The most compelling artifact, a stone slab engraved with a 3-headed animal motif, a symbol explicitly linked to Krishna's era in ancient texts, dating the site has sparked fierce controversy. While mainstream archaeologists place Dwarka around 1500 BCE, marine geologists point to underwater erosion patterns suggesting the city could be far older, perhaps even 9,000 years, matching the time frame of the last ice age's meltwater floods. This would make Dwarka contemporary with legendary sunken cities like Atlantis, a possibility that sends shivers down the spines of historians. Core samples from the seabed contain traces of wood and pottery at depths that shouldn't exist, hinting at human activity during a period when conventional wisdom insists only hunter-gatherers roamed the earth. Then there's the puzzle of its demise. The Mahabharata describes Dwarka's destruction in cataclysmic terms: tsunamis, cyclones, and a fire from the sky that consumed the city. Intriguingly, sediment layers near the site show evidence of a massive seismic event around 1500 BCE, along with melted metals and glass like slag, hallmarks of extreme heat. Could this be the footprint of a natural disaster or something more enigmatic, like a celestial impact or even ancient warfare with advanced, now forgotten weapons? What makes Dwarka uniquely haunting isn't just its age or scale, but the way it mirrors mythology with uncanny precision. the underwater citadel's layout matches descriptions of Krishna's golden city, right down to the number of gates and the alignment of its temples. Local fishermen have long reported ghost lights shimmering beneath the waves during storms, a phenomenon some scientists attribute to bioluminescent plankton, though devotees insist it's the eternal lamps of Dwarka's drowned palaces still flickering in the depths. As silt shifts with each passing monsoon, revealing new fragments of this sunken world, one thing becomes clear: Dwarka refuses to be neatly categorized. It's not just an archaeological site, but a living legend, a place where science and scripture collide, leaving us to wonder how much of our past is still hidden beneath the tides, and how many myths might be memories in disguise. The stones of Dwarka don't just challenge history, they invite us to reconsider what we're willing to believe. Towering over the savanna of southern Africa, the great Zimbabwe ruins stand as a silent testament to a civilization whose wealth and sophistication defied colonial prejudices for centuries. Spread across nearly 1,800 acres, these massive stone walls and conical towers were once the heart of a thriving medieval city, home to as many as 18,000 people at its peak between the 11th and 15th centuries. The scale alone is staggering: walls 30 feet high and 17 feet thick, built entirely without mortar, their granite blocks fitting together with such precision that they've endured 700 years of wind and rain. But what truly astonishes isn't just the architecture. It's the story these stones tell about a kingdom that mastered trade, diplomacy, and art while Europe languished in the Dark Ages. At the center of the ruins rises the Great Enclosure, a crescent-shaped structure with an outer wall stretching over 800 feet, making it the largest ancient building in sub-Saharan Africa. Inside, a narrow passageway winds toward a 33-foot conical tower, its purpose still debated. Some believe it stored grain, given the kingdom's agricultural wealth, while others argue it symbolized power, its phallic shape echoing fertility rituals. The most tantalizing clue lies in the nearby hill complex, where soapstone carvings of birds with human features, likely totems of royal authority, were unearthed alongside artifacts from distant lands: Persian glass, Chinese porcelain, and Arab coins. These finds confirm what historians long suspected. Great Zimbabwe was the hub of a vast trade network, funneling gold, ivory, and copper from Africa's interior to ports on the Indian Ocean. But for centuries, European colonizers refused to believe Africans could have built such a marvel. Victorian explorers like Cecil Rhodes insisted the ruins were the work of Phoenicians or the biblical Queen of Sheba, their racism blinding them to the evidence before their eyes. It wasn't until the 1950s that carbon dating and archaeological excavations confirmed the truth. This was an indigenous Shona city, the capital of a kingdom that minted its own gold coins and traded with merchants as far away as China. The very name Zimbabwe derives from the Shona phrase Dizimba Mabwe, meaning houses of stone, a proud declaration of local craftsmanship, yet mysteries linger. No written records survive from the city's golden age, leaving scholars to piece together its decline from oral traditions and scattered artifacts. Some point to environmental factors: overgrazing and deforestation may have exhausted the land. Others cite political upheaval or the collapse of trade routes as Portuguese ships began bypassing African middlemen. Whatever the cause, by the time Portuguese explorers arrived in the 16th century, the city was already abandoned, its stone walls whispering of a golden age lost to time. Standing among these ruins today, you're struck not just by their grandeur but by their resilience. They've survived plunder, colonial denial, and even modern-day debates about conservation versus tourism. The birds carved in soapstone, now Zimbabwe's national emblem, seem to watch over the site with quiet defiance, as if guarding the truth of a civilization that refused to be erased. The stones of Great Zimbabwe don't just mark a city, they're a monument to Africa's forgotten brilliance, daring us to listen to the stories they've waited 7 centuries to tell. At the bottom of the Aegean Sea, encrusted with 2,000 years of marine growth, divers pulled up a lump of corroded bronze that would rewrite the history of technology, the Antikythera mechanism. Discovered in a shipwreck off the Greek island of Antikythera in 1901, this intricate device, no larger than a shoebox, has been called the world's first analog computer. Its gears, dials, and inscriptions reveal a sophistication unmatched until the mechanical clocks of the 14th century, a staggering 1,500 years later. What secrets does this ancient marvel hold? The answer lies in its labyrinth of interlocking brass gears, each one a testament to a forgotten era of scientific genius. At first glance, the mechanism resembles a badly weathered rock, but X-ray imaging has unveiled its true complexity. Dozens of precisely calibrated gears worked in harmony to track celestial movements with astonishing accuracy. One dial predicted solar and lunar eclipses years in advance, while another modeled the irregular orbit of the moon, accounting for its wobble, a phenomenon modern astronomers call lunar anomaly. The device even accounted for the 4-year cycle of the ancient Olympic Games, blending astronomy with cultural timekeeping. These functions weren't just decorative, they were the product of meticulous observation and mathematical calculation, suggesting a level of astronomical knowledge historians once believed impossible for the Hellenistic period. The real enigma isn't just what the mechanism did, but who built it. The ship carrying it sank around 60 BCE, but the device itself may be even older, with stylistic clues pointing to the workshops of Rhodes, home to legendary inventors like Hipparchus and Posidonius. Rhodes was a hub of scientific inquiry where scholars blended Babylonian astronomy with Greek engineering. Yet no surviving texts mention anything like the Antikythera mechanism, leaving us to wonder, was this a one-of-a-kind masterpiece or the lone survivor of a lost tradition of mechanical computation? Modern reconstructions have only deepened the mystery. Researchers using three-dimensional scans have replicated the mechanism's gearing, confirming it could simulate planetary motions, including those of Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, planets invisible to the naked eye without advanced optics. How did the Greeks map these paths centuries before telescopes? Some speculate they borrowed data from Babylonian astronomers who recorded celestial movements on clay tablets. Others argue the mechanism hints at a broader legacy of ancient technology, lost when libraries like Alexandria burned. Then there's the haunting question of its purpose. Was it a teaching tool for philosophers, a navigational aid for sailors, or a wealthy patron's toy? The shipwreck's other treasures, statues, glassware, and jewelry, suggest it was a luxury vessel, possibly carrying looted goods to Rome. Perhaps the mechanism was destined for a nobleman's private collection, a conversation piece for elite gatherings. Or maybe it served a priestly class, its eclipse predictions used to awe worshippers with divine foresight. What lingers isn't just the mechanism's brilliance, but the silence surrounding it. Its existence implies a lineage of technical knowledge that vanished without a trace, leaving no descendants in the historical record. The Antikythera mechanism doesn't just challenge our timeline of invention. It whispers of an alternate path science might have taken, one where gears and calculus, not just scrolls and rhetoric, shaped humanity's quest to understand the cosmos. Holding its replica today, you're left with a humbling thought. We may never know how much of the ancient world's genius lies buried beneath the waves or under our feet, waiting for the right storm to uncover it. From the celestial precision of the Great Pyramid to the subterranean whispers of Derinkuyu, these 25 monuments aren't just relics. They're riddles carved in stone, each one daring us to rethink what ancient societies were truly capable of. How did cultures separated by oceans and millennia achieve such staggering feats without modern tools or shared knowledge? Why did they pour generations of labor into structures that defy logic, align with the stars, or vanish without explanation? Every site we've explored today, whether it's the astronomical genius of Angkor Wat, the seismic resilience of Sacsayhuamán, or the eerie acoustics of the hypogeum chips away at the tidy timeline of history, revealing gaps where entire civilizations might have thrived and fallen before we ever took notes. The deeper we dig, the clearer it becomes. These monuments weren't built in isolation. They're part of a global tapestry of ingenuity woven with threads we're only beginning to unravel. Take Göbekli Tepe, predating agriculture yet boasting pillars adorned with predator gods, or Puma Punku, where stones fit together like machine-cut puzzle pieces. These aren't anomalies, they're evidence of a world far more interconnected, sophisticated, and mysterious than textbooks suggest. Even modern enigmas like Coral Castle and the Georgia Guidestones prove the allure of stone and secrecy didn't end with antiquity. It's a human impulse to build wonders that outlast memory itself. So what's your take? Were these monuments temples, tombs, or something beyond our current understanding? Maybe you're captivated by the drowned kingdom of Dwarka, where myth and marine archaeology collide, or the Antikythera mechanism, a cosmic calculator lost to time. Drop your theories or your favorite site in the comments below. After all, history isn't just a story told by the victors, it's a puzzle waiting for fresh eyes. And if you're hungry for more mysteries, don't forget to subscribe. The past has only begun to whisper its secrets, and trust me, the next chapter is even stranger.